Well, we have achieved fame.
Absolutely.
We got 500 views on a YouTube reel. With fame comes some haters.
Absolutely.
It's exactly what Lady Gaga was singing about in her new song, Perfect Celebrity.
Yeah.
I feel just like Lady Gaga. The haters would eat that up. They would eat it up if they knew I said that.
I think of the real greats out there, the Kobes, the Jordans, these people who let the hate kind of fuel them. Sith Lords, Eminem.
Right.
What's the difference? And I feel that.
Yeah.
We did get called the beta and the feminist. You being the beta, me being the feminist. They didn't specify, but
That's
just
what you
making
thought.
an assumption here. Do I look beta?
No.
I don't really think so.
I don't think so.
I don't really think so either. I got a shaved head. I'm yadded.
Yeah, well, they couldn't see that.
They couldn't see that I'm bald.
I don't know.
I was wearing a sleeveless shirt too. I got a shaved head. I'm tattooed.
Right.
I drive a Mustang.
That's true.
I beat the shit out of people for looking at me weird.
It's one of the reasons I fell in love with you.
Exactly. And
wait, are these reasons you're a feminist?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, but they're also why I would not be a beta hypothetically. And I don't know. I watched Justified. I've seen The Sopranos. True. Like, what am I supposed to do? What else do I do? Do I have to have pomade in my hair to be an alpha?
I don't think you should put any in your hair.
Well, I could work on it.
I will say you were wearing a sleeveless top, but you know what else you were wearing?
I was wearing a skirt.
Right. But you know what?
And my kind of dangly earrings.
Right.
My nails were painted.
Yeah. I think that there's a real horseshoe theory on wearing skirts as a masculine presenting person,
Yeah.
It can be.
What is it?
Well, there's kind of like the Romans and Trojans.
Yeah.
And
I'm
also
Scottish.
Yeah, exactly. Like Celts and stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's kind of the horseshoe around to femboy maid outfit.
Okay.
That's
where the horseshoe connects.
I think maybe
that's where the small jump is.
Okay, wait. I think there's a difference between a horseshoe. They're supposed to get
closer as they kind of bend back in. Yeah.
So
right. Speaking of people that we are at war with, you remember that I declared war on
Warner Bros. Or something?
On Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
My war with Warner Brothers rages on.
Oh.
It rages on.
What did they do this time?
Well, first of all, I'd like to go ahead and say that when I'm watching a movie, and I think I might have said this to you before, but recently, in the past 4 or 5 years, and I go in and I sit down in the movie and the Warner Brothers thing comes on the screen before the movie starts, I kind of go, oh no.
Do you really?
Yes.
See, I have such happy memories associated with it because of Harry Potter.
Sure, yeah.
They made it look decayed in this one.
They did that. They did the Dark Knight movies, and then Chris Nolan made all of his movies up through Tenet when they kind of flopped on the production of that, and then he jumped over to Universal. So I also, for a long time, had good memories.
Right.
For the past about 5 years, they've been putting out trash.
Because were they doing the DC stuff?
Yes, they were doing the DC stuff, which was its own muddled whatever.
Yeah.
Microcosm of whatever. But when we went to see Mickey 17 the other day, and Warner Bros came up on the screen, I was like, we might have a problem here. And it was a report came out that Warner Brothers that Bong Joon-ho vetoed the Warner Brothers final cut of Mickey 17, and now Mickey 17 has got to lose $100 million or something crazy. It's kind of bombing. And I didn't love Mickey 17, as you know, but at the same time I was like, there is no way that the Warner Brothers studio cut was better.
Yeah.
They've been bombing consistently for like forever. Like their successes are very few and far between, and even their like okay stuff usually I do not like at all. But I have more arts and entertainment news
Oh my
for
gosh.
us.
Okay. So more acts of aggression.
More acts of aggression from Warner Brothers.
Right.
The war continues.
Have you fired back at all?
I am devising a plan in our garage.
Okay.
So this is about Paul Thomas Anderson's new film.
Okay.
It's being put out through Warner Brothers. They're producing it. Called One Battle After Another is the name of his film.
Just like your experience with them.
Exactly. And apparently just like his experience with them.
Really?
So they are fighting over the final cut of the movie.
Whoa, okay.
Now,
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Can you remind me, did he do Collateral?
no, that's Michael Mann.
Okay, can you remind me what?
Phantom Thread?
Oh, that was my, yes.
Yes. There Will Be Blood.
Right.
Boogie Nights, Inherent Vice,
Okay.
Magnolia.
Okay, I was thinking of the ones I've seen.
The Master. You didn't like that movie, but it was a good movie. You just didn't like it, right?
No, but I liked Magnolia a lot.
Yeah.
I love Phantom Thread. Okay.
So Paul Thomas Anderson is one of those guys that's like, a generational top tier like auteur director, like a real like artist that's like made some of the most kind of iconic, artistic, inventive, expert films.
And you are also autistic.
So it has been alleged
Okay.
by you.
I really didn't know that was its own, like, I thought that when people were saying auteur, they were like basically saying like author, but like in a French way.
It's like it's a word for this is how it's used as a visionary director whose body of work kind of their vision
like
pervades.
goes through. Yeah. Is it just for film or is it?
That's how it's used primarily.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like the only like artistic space you really hear it used in frequently. So here's the kind of issue. A consistent note came up. Audiences, this is Warner Bros. Ran some screen tests for this. And they say audiences struggled who to root for with any of the characters, bringing up the age-old question about likability in commercial films. DiCaprio has been praised for a quirky performance according to the testing. A character played by Benicio del Toro scored highest of all, with one played by Sean Penn also indexing high. So they gave Paul Thomas Anderson, whose films never like go crazy at the box office, but he's got such a big name that people give him a lot of money. And it's kind of like Scorsese at this point, where you're just like doing it for like the legitimacy of your studio a bit. But to give him a budget of like $140 million to, and I think this is another Thomas Pynchon book, to adapt a Thomas Pynchon book, and then like expect it to be like a huge like hit or draw when like There Will Be Blood didn't even do well at the box office is, I think, pretty silly to do. Like, and like expect to make losses or break even, but also like think of the movies of him that you've seen. Phantom Thread. Who are you rooting for?
Right. Like, as soon as you said that, it's like, well, this is like kind of I feel like a hot button issue.
Yes.
With movies is like, do you like people thinking you have to be able to root for the main character to make it a good movie, or that like the main character not being someone you do root for makes it like what's the word I'm looking for? Like an endorsement of that type of person.
Right, yeah. We've talked about that before with Scorsese stuff too. Like it's like there's a lot of movies that he has that every single character in there deserves to like die or go to prison.
Right.
And a lot of the time that doesn't happen, or a lot of the time it does happen. But it's like, it's not about like, oh, I'm watching Goodfellas, rooting for the Goodfellas. I'm just watching it to see what happens, how they interact, like what their experiences are.
I'm rooting for the girl in Phantom Thread.
She's a little bit. Are you? And I was even thinking though, like There Will Be Blood. Like it's like, who are the two real only characters almost in that are Daniel Day-Lewis's character and Paul Dano's character, and it's like those are both bad guys. Like they're both like conniving, like corrupted people. but that's a great movie, you know? So many great movies are
Yeah.
like that. Like, there's not a good guy,
Right.
really. It's just characters interacting with each other. And I think it's like such like a kind of baby opinion for a studio to have, to be like, in any given movie there can't be like morally complex or like no hero or whatever. Like, if you're watching, you know, if they're putting out Aquaman 3 and the crowd doesn't know who to root for, then you have a problem, because they
Sure.
should be rooting for
Yeah.
Aquaman. But if you're
Yeah.
putting out one of these, if you're putting out a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, or like, you know, even if you watch like The Prestige, it's like, who do you
Yeah.
root for?
Oh my gosh, when we watched that recently, like, because I loved that growing up. Like, I loved
Yeah.
that movie, and I still think it's such a good movie. But I did not grasp Hugh Jackman's character the way I did now as an adult.
Absolutely.
Being like, oh, like, he's kind of a bad guy,
He's
you know?
he's a really
Yeah.
bad guy. He's
Like,
like
I did not
a
get that at
true
all.
villain. And in the, I kind of thought it was just like a thing that both of them kind of went too far, and then
Yeah.
it, like, something happened in the end, and they were almost equal. And then now I watch it and I have a totally different perspective on it.
Absolutely. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I feel, well, what do you think? Do you think that, like, movies and, well, like, okay,
Yeah.
I feel like the word anti-hero now has to mean someone like Loki.
I totally agree with you. Like, it's like somebody who was bad and then becomes good over the course of a movie.
Yeah.
Rather than somebody like, oh, Dirty Harry. I think that's a great
Okay.
anti-hero.
I haven't seen that.
I know. I've talked about it before, though, as
Yeah,
being
yeah.
like a piece of like conservative media. Like, I use it as my marquee piece of like conservative media that I think is still a good movie.
Yeah.
Because although it's like wrapped up in like, it's like messaging in a way and presents like a kind of ridiculous scenario to make its points, like, it is character driven.
Mm-hmm.
The plot is exciting. It does take twists and turns. It does give you the gratification that you want at the end. Like, all of that sort of stuff is well done. It's well shot. But at the same time, it's like, when I walk away from this movie, do I like Dirty Harry? Absolutely not. Is he the hero of that film? Absolutely.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like it's like now an anti-hero also has to be able to make like quips and be like
yes.
fun in that way, when it's like, I bet Dirty Harry, maybe he says something cool, like he has a one-liner or something, but like,
Sure. Like, definitely. That's the idea of like likability versus like charisma. Like, you look at somebody like, I don't know, like, think about like Christoph Waltz's character in Inglourious Bastards.
is he an anti-hero?
No.
Oh,
I'm just
okay.
saying in general. Think of his character.
Yeah.
Like, how great of a character is that?
Oh yeah.
Like,
It's
just
potent. Like, it's like terrifying.
you are sucked in. You're hanging on his every
Yeah.
word. You're holding your breath when he's talking. It's a great character, and there is a certain level of charisma to his movements, to the way that he speaks. He's absolutely loathsome. His ideas are loathsome. His, like, you know, he's a sadistic psycho, and he's evil. But he's a great character.
Yeah.
And a movie can be composed of a bunch of those people. I mean,
As soon as he drank that whole glass of milk, I knew he was evil.
that's when, not during the... Is that in the opening scene?
No, it's like later.
So you didn't know he was evil? Okay. But
I was like, they're telling me he's a bad guy because he's drinking a whole
this
glass
milk.
of milk. That's a weird thing to do.
that's so weird. Yeah.
And he was like, delicious. So yeah, that's your war update. The
That's my war
latest in war reporting.
Warner Brothers, you have taken away my Looney Tunes. And now you're trying to insert a good guy into a Paul Thomas Anderson movie or something.
Yeah.
Stop it.
I don't want to like him. I don't even know anything about this movie. Give me some unlikable characters. I'll sit
totally.
there. It makes it more interesting.
I also, like, Leo is the lead in this movie. He is his best when he's an unlikable character.
Totally.
Wolf of Wall Street,
Once
Killers
Upon
of
a
the Flower
Time.
Moon, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, when he's just like a pathetic,
Yeah.
bumbling
Yeah.
idiot. He's like always like one of the best, most interesting
Yeah.
characters you'll ever see. Yeah.
Man, what did you think about his performance in Titanic? He was so young.
I mean, it's a good performance.
Yeah.
He is really young. I'm not a big Cameron head, as you know.
That's fair.
So I thought that movie, it's a thing I have with a lot of Cameron movies where it's like uh, he like has like what is basically a horror scene going on that's so gripping, and then in the middle of it, it's like, well, guess we'll just play another song then.
Totally,
And I'm like,
yeah.
okay, like what are the stakes here? Like they're not somberly doing it; they're doing it like almost as a cutaway to a comic relief, which feels like it really is undercutting everything else that's going on. And when she like does her like close her eyes and hit the chain thing, it just feels like everything that is happening feels so real and so like super, like it supersedes the Hollywoodness of what's going on, and then that just feels so Hollywood fake moment
Yeah.
that it really like takes you out of that reality.
I was so like, so I had seen the first half of Titanic as a kid, and I did not see the second half because we got it on disc from the library. And as soon as they hit the iceberg, the disc ends and it's like, please insert disc two.
And it wasn't in there.
No, it wasn't in there. Like we'd only got
Dang,
one.
brutal.
And so I had just never seen the second half until we watched it. We saw it in the, in
Yeah,
the
in
theater,
the theater
right?
when they re-released
Yeah, that was
it.
the first time I had seen like the second half of the movie. So I
I'd
didn't.
never seen it at all before.
You'd never
then.
seen it at all? Yeah,
Yeah.
so I didn't know that he was gonna die. I didn't know that. But it was a lot scarier than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah,
Like,
that was my favorite part too.
it was so good. It was so
Yeah.
scary. And it sent me down such a rabbit hole of I was up so late on the Titanic Wikipedia reading
Oh, that's
all
right,
of those
yeah.
facts. Because I was just like, what? I was really curious about like what happened that made it such a disaster. Like, where did the planning go wrong? Like, obviously there weren't enough lifeboats, but like, why? You know?
Yeah.
Like, kind of like that sort of stuff. Like, what was going on? Like, almost like in the like the zoom out that like led to this being.
Did
so
you get your
set up.
answers?
No, but I got a lot of other interesting facts, and I don't remember all of them now. But what I do remember was like only like seven. No, that can't be right. There was a shockingly low number of men that survived.
Yeah, because it was women and
Yeah,
children
like
first,
I kind of want to say it was seven.
and then first class men,
Right.
and
I
then they
don't think
like
it was
had the
seven
others in the
though.
brigs.
And there was like
It was
only-
very, very low.
Then
Though.
maybe
No,
it was seven.
it honestly could have been. It was like
Yeah.
they got a lot of the women and children on the lifeboats,
Yeah.
and then mostly all the men drowned. Yeah,
And there was like only like one black person on the whole ship.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Did they live?
I think so.
Good for them.
I don't remember.
Well, I hope so.
I hope so.
I hope they all lived.
I mean, yeah, but they
They didn't.
did.
Do you remember that like there's a scene in that where like one of the guards like shoots somebody and then shoots himself?
Yeah.
And then it turned out that was like not what happened at all, and
Yeah.
then they like had to settle with the family.
Yes, that was something I read about
Yeah.
too. That was crazy because it
Yeah.
was like they didn't like how he had been portrayed.
Movies are crazy. Like us having just watched The Wizard of Oz and then realizing like everybody was getting like sexually harassed, getting their skin
Yeah.
burned off,
The
getting exploded
injuries,
on
crazy.
screen. It was like the most miserable like filming experience in
Yeah.
like ever.
You know, the jumps in safety from like the 80s to now that have sort of like maybe dulled some of the effects of movies, like, you know, like the way that we do bullets now.
Yeah.
But we have come so far in film safety because like the fact that like so many people were hospitalized during The Wizard of Oz.
No, it's
like-
true, but at the same time, it's like people just got like better and like worked out like real precautions for all case scenarios. Like you think of like the John Wick films, right? And like that's directed by a guy who does stunt choreography and second
Yeah.
unit stunt directing and things like that. And he's spoken about this. He's like, the last thing we ever want to happen on one of our sets is anybody to get injured. Like we are pushing like stunt work to its limit. But he's like, we're so good and we're so professional and we're so prepared and we are willing to call to end a shot, anything, if anything's going wrong. He's like, my nightmare is that something happens to one of my guys on this shoot.
Yeah.
And nothing's ever happened. They've done like the craziest stunts in that. And like
Yeah.
nothing has ever gone wrong because it's so competently assembled, put together by a guy who's both been the stunt man and then the coordinator and is now the director. So in a lot of ways, like they're doing crazier individual things than they ever did, but just like the practices and measures in place to be able to do those things are so much more advanced.
I think they are if you take advantage of them, but I think it would also surprise us to know the extent to which some places do not practice that safety. I just read, because I just read Elliot Page's memoir, and there was some stuff in there about like, I forget, like I think it was a movie that he like was doing, but there was like a car chase scene, and like there was like 4 of them in the car, and him and like another person were like not strapped in at all.
Yeah.
And like they like crashed the car like as the stunt, and like they were just like loose in there.
Mm-hmm.
And part of like his reflection on it was like, why didn't I speak up at the time? And it's like, oh, I guess I was young and in Hollywood or whatever, but I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think of a story like that about I think it was the first Kill Bill movie. Uma Thurman crashed a car that she told Quentin Tarantino that she did not feel comfortable doing that stunt and driving that way, and then she crashed and got actually injured. And then when she like kind of confronted him, he like really told her off about it. And then her husband at the time was Ethan Hawke, and when he called Quentin Tarantino and gave him his like kind of chewed him out, then Tarantino was very apologetic. And I was like, that's just so lame. So lame, man. He lives in Israel, by the way, Quentin Tarantino now.
Does he really?
Yeah. So
what?
Yeah,
okay.
His wife's Israeli.
I had, so you know I work with kids. One of my young clients the other day was telling me that she was having a hard time sleeping, and she was like, but I think I need to stop watching scary movies. And I was like, oh, like what did you watch? She watched Trap. Like, what was that rated?
R, for sure.
Right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Right?
I think so.
It's got like a guy gagged and bound in the basement the entire movie.
Yeah. It's like,
that's
girl.
Gotta be R. I feel like all Shyamalan stuff is...
She's obsessed with Taylor Swift, you know? And it's like, I think that's more supposed to be like Olivia Rodrigo.
Yeah.
You know? But still, I was like, yeah, you shouldn't watch that.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. That's really funny.
Yeah.
No sleeves.
I took the sleeves off, yeah.
So one more story on like the stunt thing that I really like is, you remember in the Revolutionary War episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
There's the Glenn Howerton, our friend Glenn Howerton, who we were just hanging out with at the bar the other day.
I shook his hand twice.
Yeah, me too. He says that that's how they wanted Rickety Cricket's head to explode in that episode, was how the head in Scanners by David Cronenberg exploded. And he told their tech, and they could not get the effect right. And he was kind of getting irritated. He's like, that's the explosion that I want. What can we do? Like, what did they... He's like, Cronenberg did this in the 70s, and you're telling me we can't do this today. And so the stunt guy, or their coordinator, was like, I'll look into it. And he came back and he said, well, the way that they did that was they had a dummy head, and then they just from out of frame shot it with a shotgun and blasted it off. It was like filled with stuff. It just exploded. And Glenn Howerton was like, okay, well, let's do that. And he was like, we can't do that.
That's so funny.
It is so funny. And I just love that. I also know that I think it was also on Scanners that they needed like a lot of like smoke kind of in the rooms for different scenes, and their way of doing it was just like everybody on the production crew just chain smoking and then just chucking cigarettes into a bucket, and the smoke that came out was the smoke that got
that couldn't have been the easiest way.
It's so
even
gross.
Back then,
it's
know?
So gross. But I kind of like that though a little bit. Like, we're all just hanging out, just making a movie.
That's so funny.
So like we bought 100 packs of cigarettes. Everybody get to smoke.
Oh my gosh.
That's awesome.
Like, they had to have had smoke machines back then, right?
You would think. Yeah.
That's, well, hey, resourceful. They were probably smoking
that
anyways.
Movie is great.
Yeah, that movie was really good.
David Cronenberg's practical effects were extremely advanced and super cool.
What were we just watching? Oh, it was Wizard of Oz with the effects.
Yeah, that had good effects. Those weren't really... Those were like
practical.
Visual effects, which is really impressive for that time.
They were like early visual effects.
Yeah. But David Cronenberg's like his makeup stuff and like the way he like makes it look like something's underneath somebody's skin and like it is, man, nobody does it quite like him to this day.
He did The Fly, right?
Yeah.
Did you know that like when they were doing that movie with Jeff Goldblum, he really looked like that.
Really? Yeah. Because he had the flu.
He had the flu, and he said that he just started like kind of like drinking algae water, and it kind of just like made him
Made
look
his
like
skin
that.
and,
Yeah.
and nails and such fall off. Yeah. I heard that the Fly, at the end of the Fly, though, he was so sick by the end of the Fly that they had to get his brother to play the Fly at the end of the Fly.
I heard something different.
What'd you hear?
I heard that they got Yo Mama to play it.
Okay.
All right.
All right, Emily. We have, I think, only one segment for this episode, but we have a decent amount of material, and this is a Emily-dominated segment here.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to our
Covers. What was it called?
well, we called the episode Judgment Day.
Oh, okay.
But it is really covers because it's just the front and back cover.
Yeah. We are judging them by their cover,
Yeah.
but we're not doing the whole list this time. So yes, we did it again. We found some book covers and took pictures of the back descriptions. So this one, and I can pull up on my phone too if you want a closer view. Would you like that?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, this
So-
looks like a Mad Max ripoff.
This is called,
Pretty hard. For real.
it's called Highway to Hell.
By Max.
Can you survive the zombie apocalypse?
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah,
Choice is yours, and if you don't survive, you've got no one to blame but yourself. I don't know. I blame the zombie apocalypse.
well, this is a choose your own adventure book.
Oh, okay.
Which actually was really cool. I didn't know that when I picked it up. And then I like kind of
Nice.
flipped through it a little bit and I was like, oh, that's like interesting.
Yeah.
So it's a choose your own adventure book. And so, may I?
Yeah.
So
Please.
your name is Jimmy El Camino and you're a badass. In fact, a supreme badass.
Okay.
John Rambo with style. Snake Plissken with a failing liver. Now you've been sprung from jail and given a critical mission, save the world.
Feeling liver sucks so bad. Do you know who that is?
No.
Kurt Russell's character in Escape from New York.
I haven't seen
He's got
that.
like an eye patch, sleeveless shirt. He
Oh.
is like the whole time.
Your assignment: escort a young woman who holds the key to humanity's salvation across a post-apocalyptic, zombie-filled America. On the road, you'll encounter a deranged traveling carnival, battle mad scientists, and clash with hungry cannibals. And every step of the way, an army of deadly drivers is hot on your tail because there is one man who will stop at nothing to keep this apocalypse of the undead alive.
Okay. All right.
Then there's like this little like this other section. You have choices to make.
Okay.
Moral dilemmas, strategic decisions, weapons, vehicles. Will you be a hero or will you abandon your mission?
Can I go through these?
Yeah,
Okay.
one at a time.
Yeah, give me to me.
Moral dilemmas.
I choose killing myself or not.
That might be your first choice you get to make. And if you choose to kill yourself, you just flip to the end of the book and it's like, all right, you died.
I'd probably choose to kill myself, but for the sake of going through these, I'll
Okay.
choose to live.
Weapons.
Weapons, I want a short range like melee weapon because I don't want to have to be worried about ammo all the time.
Okay.
If I'm just fighting the zombies.
I want the ray gun.
I don't is it that kind of is it
I don't deserve the ray
futuristic?
gun.
You don't deserve the ray gun, honestly.
I've lost ray gun privileges because
Absolutely.
of COD.
Yeah, do you want to explain yourself?
I get really scared when we play zombies. We haven't played it in a long time.
Yeah,
Maybe
probably
I'm
like
better
10 years.
now. And I fumbled the bag when I had the ray gun.
Yeah, the thing was we both got the ray gun,
Yeah.
which never would happen in
Yeah.
Black Ops 2 Nuketown, and Emily panicked and froze up and let the zombies kill her.
It just is so scary. I liked the old version where you were in that one room with like, it was like an old theater or something and like the boarded up areas.
Yeah.
But I hated having to open doors because I was like, I don't want any more. I just want to stay here. And then they start running.
Level
and it's so
1
scary.
over and over.
Well, we would normally stay in that area until like level like 5.
Okay.
Which is probably crazy.
Yeah, here, give me
Anyways.
some of these
Vehicles.
vehicles. I like the car that they feature on the cover of the book, honestly.
Yeah.
I like this.
has, like, a-
That's a very Mad Max car. Kind of
It
souped up muscle car with blades on it. That's great. I wouldn't want much more than that, I don't think.
So we have some yes or no questions.
Okay.
Can you withstand an onslaught of undead monsters and hired killers?
At risk of being called a beta again, no.
Will you die amidst the chaos and violence of a zombie apocalypse?
Yes, absolutely.
Or worst of all, will you become one of them?
I guess maybe. No, I don't think so. Because I think realistically, I probably question one. My moral dilemma. I kill myself. I don't come back as a zombie because I think you have to get like zombie killed and infected to come back as one.
Yeah. So this made me chuckle when I saw it. And honestly, it seems like a fun time to read a Choose Your Own Adventure. I don't think I've ever done that before.
I haven't either. Yeah, I don't know. I just pretty much probably always rather just play a video game.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So zombies,
I don't like zombie stuff that much.
Right. What do you put in the kind of like, what would you rather have? If it's not zombies, like what other thing? Like vampires?
No, raiders. Like I like the Mad Max style, just like freaks.
Sure.
Okay,
not kind
undead.
of BioShock.
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Just like it's post-apocalyptic, but it's just even like Borderlands. Like they're not zombies; they've just kind of gone a little crazy in the Outlands and stuff.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, there's kind of like a couple classic movie monsters, like humanoid movie monsters.
So you want to know what I would rather insert?
No. I'm just kind of talking now.
Okay.
But you've got your zombies. Mm-hmm. They were really hot for a time.
Yeah.
And then we had our vampires, which were really hot for a time as well.
When you say hot,
popular.
Okay.
But also
the vampires were also sexy.
They were. Yeah. But you know what's really in right now?
What?
Werewolves.
Is that coming back? Don't we have to wait for the Wolfman to come out?
Is that coming out?
Or it's like the Wolf. It's whatever Robert Eggers' next movie is.
We know that already?
Yeah. He said he's doing. He's kind of doing like a Nosferatu.
Love
like
that.
He's doing a Dracula and a werewolf. Yeah.
Okay.
He's done a witch. He's doing Dracula. He's doing werewolf.
That's so true. Okay. And what about the lighthouse?
He's doing
he did mermaids?
A scary sailor.
Well, yes. So no, I would say werewolves are fully back in.
Okay. I didn't even know.
I think especially with the kids, right? Because they, I feel like there's
I don't know. You interact with a lot more kids than I do through your job.
Yes.
I interact with pretty much no children except for our niece.
That's fair. But like all this talk about being alpha and stuff.
Oh, okay. So an alpha is a werewolf?
Well, it's more like a wolf situation, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, I feel like it applies to werewolves.
Sure. I'm sure there's an alpha werewolf.
So we've covered zombies, yes. And now we're going on Alpha Girl.
Alpha Girl. Okay.
This cover, I immediately had to pick it up.
Should I give my impression since
Please.
That's kind of how we've been doing this? I would go ahead and say that it looks bad. Just generally kind of like ugly and tacky.
Yeah, that's fair.
For a description for an audio listener, it has a lot of it's like a nightscape, like a cosmic nightscape with like kind of like a badge on it that's also functioning as a window to some trees, and then some really kind of like sort of photorealistic animations of purple flowers decorating it. It's
some thorns and stuff.
It's not good.
No. So I wasn't even sure. I thought like maybe this is cheating because it is like a YA book, but at the same time I was like, this has to be good. So shall we read the back?
And this is book 3.
This is book 3. They didn't have book 1 or 2.
The back is even almost as bad. Probably worse actually. It's got like thorns and like barbed wire style across the top. All right, hit me with it.
Leaving Sawyer was the hardest thing Demi had ever done, but she had to put her people first. Werewolf City is at war.
No. Cobra Starship.
And she'll do whatever it takes to turn the tides in the wolf's favor, even if it means stepping up in her new role. The Paladins are a secretive people she knows nothing about. What she thought would be a quick trip into their lands turns into a fight for her life. The future Sawyer and Demi have dreamed of together threatens to crumble. She's torn. Does she choose love and a sure future with the man of her dreams?
I hope so.
Or follow her heart and save a dying people as she knows nothing about, no matter the cost?
Maybe she should do that.
Either way, Demi has to make her way back to Sawyer. She can't imagine a life in which they don't exist together.
That's a difficult choice. I think she should do something the altruistic one, personally.
I think she has to save Werewolf City.
That's what it's called? Did you say that?
Werewolf City is at war.
I forgot. That's literally how this started, and I said Cobra Starship. Werewolf City is at war.
I love that.
Are they at war with Vampire City?
I don't even know who they're at war with, but I love it. That made me laugh because I'm like, Human City.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, anything like that.
Yeah.
I would love a city of Frankensteins. It's like Planet Hulk in the Marvel comics when he goes to
Absolutely.
Planet Hulk.
Werewolf City. Like, I have to take the werewolf subway to my werewolf job. You did not expend a single ounce of thinking power.
No.
Like, you couldn't even be like, I don't know, Full Moon City. Right?
Yeah, even that, which is like the most obvious, cheapest
Totally.
thing. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Werewolf City.
But it sounds like, she has some special role, probably as being an alpha, which is, I think, normally reserved for men.
But it says alpha girl.
Yeah.
Which is the draw.
Right.
Yeah.
But it also seems like her connection.
Well, you're a beta girl according to the commenter.
I consider myself an alpha girl.
I know. I remember you saying that, but we haven't had a YouTube comment calling you an alpha girl yet.
Not yet, but maybe after this.
Maybe. Hopefully.
Yeah. So
comment alpha girl.
So this is book 3, right? And it does really, the back just jumps right in.
Yeah.
With a lot of
absolutely.
No exposition.
No.
But it does sound
some.
That's
tells you
fair.
exactly what happens.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know who Sawyer is.
That's fair.
But
you're totally right. Yeah.
It sounds like her love.
Yeah.
And
you think it's Tom Sawyer?
I do. And I really, you might be wondering, like, what happens to them?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Do they make it? Does she find her love?
Absolutely.
Well,
that's all I've been able to think about.
Let's check out the next book.
Perfect. I kind of could tell that this was maybe, like, literally just looking on the tiny thumbnail here. I was like, those covers look really similar.
So,
Mated Girl. What the hell? Oh,
yeah,
Lord.
So I think she found him.
So I would say that this cover is less offensive because it's basically almost exactly the same, but the flowers are green. Mm-hmm. But something about it is just like, looks like less like somebody just typed in like something in a ChatGPT.
Like this looks more like someone could have like described like exactly what they wanted, less of like make me something interesting.
Right. Okay. So no need to. So this one's called Mated Girl.
Yeah. The epic conclusion to the best-selling Wolf Girl series. So
okay, so
I think
4 books and done.
I think Wolf Girl is the name of the first one, and they just didn't have it.
I see. Okay. It was sold out.
Right. Demi has finally made it out of the dark woods, only to learn that Sawyer is in prison, and their people are still at war, and the wolves are hiding underground.
No. The werewolf underground. In the werewolf subway system.
It will take every ounce of strength she has to save their people, get her man back, and bring down the queen. Sawyer sounds like a beta.
Sawyer does sound like a beta.
He can't stay out of prison.
I don't think you could pair up an alpha girl with an alpha boy, right?
It wouldn't work. Mm-mm. Normally you need an alpha boy and an omega girl.
I think Sigma.
Oh, yeah?
Is that what? Yeah, that's like above alpha in the hierarchy of like...
Is that what S stands for in all of those charts?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Not... by all those charts, do you mean like... What do you mean?
S tier.
Yeah, like cars are rated like that.
I literally have always been like, I guess that just means something I don't know.
Yeah.
But she can't do it alone, and calling on an old friend proves to be the best decision she could ever make. Nothing will keep her from her mate, not even the magical world's most high-security prisons.
Not even that?
Not even that.
Wow.
So I
wonder how she gets in there. Ocean's 11, she puts together a team, I hope.
I hope so. I opened it up and saw something in there about her sensing Sawyer through her bond
Okay.
So is this a concept you're familiar with?
No. Sensing someone through your bond. I mean, like Luke and Darth Vader. They can
Yeah.
like tell that each other are in the same vicinity.
That's true. This is a little different because this is like your mate bond.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like you can like read each other's minds or you can like sense if they're like in danger.
Yeah. I only know that in a father-son force style
Yeah.
capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I saw that in there and I was like, all right. And then I put the book back on the shelf.
Okay. Well, I think that was probably a good move
Yeah.
to put the book back on the shelf.
I think so.
I think that these are both probably very bad, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I have to say, so we went to Barnes and Noble to do this poll because Second and Charles was closing, and the amount of shelf space that's taken up by like the same author, it was pretty shocking to me. Like we started out in that like crime fiction section, and then even in the fantasy section, it's like there's so many authors out there probably looking to get published, but it's like it almost feels like if you can get one book, you can get 10. You know, like
Yeah.
that was just crazy to me. I don't know. There's
Yeah.
multiple of these.
There are, but like, in their defense, I won't go so hard in their defense, but I will say I think these are for teens.
Sure. No, sure. And
Yeah.
yeah. No, I get it. I'm just I guess thinking out loud there a little bit.
No,
Like-
I think you're right. It is.
It is
Yeah.
and I know it's a sales game obviously, and bookstores aren't doing amazing right now, but it's also like dude, like 100 James Patterson books, like 100 of them, like that's just so nuts to me.
And I almost had the James Patterson like young adult series on here too.
Really?
Because I ate that up. I'll
I
save it
found-
for a future episode.
I'm saving a James Patterson one that I found for a future episode
we should
too.
do a James Patterson.
That's actually a really
Yeah,
good idea,
okay.
and we should do it like. Is there any way on earth that these were written by the same person?
Yeah.
Any way
So
on earth?
true.
Like even just like paragraph by paragraph.
Yeah.
Like
So to bring it back to this, I know what you're thinking, Emily.
yeah,
You just said these books are for teens.
right.
We're adults.
We are.
We deserve our own werewolf content.
Absolutely.
So let's go on.
Yeah, that's why
Let's do our
Robert
final
Eggers
book.
is coming to save us. All right. So this is basically the sexiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life, obviously.
Here's you can
Thanks. Okay.
Observe the
Moon
details.
called excellent, thoroughly satisfying, and expect to be spellbound. This is a Mercy Thompson novel. That's the character's name. Okay, let me describe this to the audio listeners. I would say, is there a type of rise jeans but low
low rise,
below that?
micro rise.
Micro rise jeans, a bear paw tattoo between the pelvic bone and belly button, hands on the belt, sleeves of tattoos, a leather wrist brace, an upper arm bandage, and then like a mechanic's vest that's like tied like just under the boobs with a very good amount of cleavage showing. A feather, almost like Dreamcatcher style earring in this woman's ear, and sort of stringy hair being blown across her face. In the background, we've got an iron gate with two howling wolves as like kind of the top piece on it, howling at a moon crescent, and also a real moon behind that.
Yeah. I was wondering, does the name tag say anything? Like, can you read it?
It says Mercy.
Oh, it does.
Yeah,
Okay.
her name.
Maxwell, I'm sorry, but like that is so definitely not a bear paw. This is a whole werewolf thing. It's like she's got like a
Looks like
kitty cat.
It looks like bear claw to me.
I will say, because I know when we did our other Judgment Day episode, I was really harsh on the neon graveyard one.
You were.
This is better than that.
This is better than
this
that.
is,
Yeah,
you
that
know-
was like really sloppily.
Yes, like this is effective.
composed.
It's corny, but it's better put together than that one.
I agree. The textures match at least. I think like
Yes.
that's the thing.
I
is,
think
like,
you're right, because this kind of looks like airbrushed almost.
Yeah,
like
like-
I think it is a drawing.
If this was done by the Neon Graveyard people, she would have like a gun like photoshopped into one of those hands on her belt.
Exactly. Yeah. Why don't I'll let you read the back of this
Okay,
one.
sure. Would you mind clicking the down button
yeah.
on there for me? Werewolves can be dangerous if you get in their way, but they'll leave you alone if you are careful. Okay, well that's good to know.
Good advice.
Just straight up. They are very good at hiding their natures from human population, but I'm not human. I know them when I meet them, and they know me too. First of all, I really love the idea that this is just a blurb writer saying this. Like, has nothing to do with the book at all. It's just like, just so you know, by the way.
It's like Stephen King says.
Yeah.
Werewolves are actually not dangerous. They're more scared of you than you are of them.
Mercy Thompson's sexy next-door neighbor is a werewolf. God, I hate when I have that problem. She's thinking with a VW bus at her She's tinkering with a VW bus at her mechanic shop that happens to belong to a vampire. Okay. But then Mercy Thompson is not exactly normal herself, and her connection to the world of things that go bump in the night is about to get her into a whole world of trouble. So that doesn't give me a whole lot.
That's all you need to know. If you are interested in that, then you'll love this book.
So I have a quote from a New York Times best-selling author here.
Oh, okay.
This is a new and dazzling world of werewolves, shapeshifters, witches, and vampires. Now, Emily, as you know, in our updated submission guidelines for Overgrowth, we say that we don't take any of that stuff.
Right.
I got, and I'm not putting these down, but I got a significant amount of poems featuring demons in our first submissions
Any
thing.
werewolves?
No, I don't think I got a single werewolf story.
All right, people, you need to step up your game.
Don't send me werewolf stories.
Send me werewolf stories.
Yeah, send it to editor@overgrowthpress.com.
For Emily.
You just make the subject for Emily.
I don't really want
parentheses werewolf. Yes, she does. Send her your sexiest werewolf stories. Okay. And then here's a number one New York Times bestselling author, Kim Harrison. Plenty of twists and turns kept me entertained from its deceptively innocent beginning to its can't put it down end. I love a good can't put it down end. I can't wait to read more of Rachel Harrison's
How
writing,
innocently could this book begin if the first blurb is her sexy next door neighbor is a werewolf?
Well, maybe it begins when she's a kid working on a truck with her dad.
Oh.
That's the writer in
so
me.
true.
You see that?
Yeah. Or it's she's just a mechanic. So she's not a werewolf, but
she's not exactly
that's
normal
her
herself.
on the cover.
Well, she's not exactly normal herself.
Yeah.
It says. We don't know what's going on with her. Maybe she's like a lichen.
What's that?
It's a werewolf adjacent.
A
You ever
lichen?
see the Underworld
Oh,
movies?
like lycanthropy?
Sure. I have one.
Oh,
I have a book
okay.
as well. I have
Great.
one submission to your
Nice.
to this.
Is it does it match? Did you stay on theme?
I would say no. Generally, I'm actually gonna grab my iPad here so that I can give you a good reading of it. And I really, really encourage audio listeners to look at this if you can as a video, because this is a really good.
Should I?
Yeah, please.
Oh my god.
So this is. Emily, would you mind describing this cover?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I had to read it twice because I was like, that can't be what it says. Toilet bound Hanako-kun.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a very the manga style art. It looks like either a bellhop or a train conductor.
Yeah.
And I think it's a train because it looks like they have a train ticket on their face and their tongue is sticking out.
Mm-hmm. How old would you say this person is?
They have to be 12 years old at most, but something tells me that they're ancient.
Okay.
Because that's how they do this stuff. They're she's actually 87. She just looks like she's 12.
Is a girl to you?
No. That's just what they do
in
anime. I don't know if this is a girl or a boy.
Okay. Would you like to learn a little bit more about this book? Please.
Okay. Oh.
Hanako-san, are you there? At Kamomi Academy, rumors about the school's 7 mysteries, one of which is Hanako-san, said to occupy the third Oh wait, did we read the title?
Yeah.
Okay. Said to occupy The third stall of the third floor girls' bathroom in the old school building. Hanako-san grants any wish when summoned. Nene Yashiro, an occult-loving high school girl who dreams of romance, ventures into his haunted bathroom, but the Hanako-san she meets there is nothing like she imagined. Kamomi Academy's Hanako-san is a boy.
A boy haunting the girl's bathroom? That's so messed up.
This is a manga.
Did you flip through it at all?
Not at all.
You didn't even you didn't even crack it open.
Next to you. I was
my God.
Grown bald 30-year-old man wandering through the manga section. I wasn't going to open this book.
Oh my God.
I felt like creepy enough taking a picture of it for this.
Oh my God. What are these things going on?
So around the toilet seemed to be some sort of like weird
like an altar
flame,
situation,
some sort of demon. Yeah, bloody handprint candles. It just looks like kind of occultic stuff.
Yeah. Oh, this is how she summoned him.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what you
and
need
then
to summon him.
he's a train
He's
conducting boy. Oh my God, that is so. I really thought Toilet Bound was more like headed to the toilet.
Yes, absolutely. Me too. But he's bound to the toilet.
And it's like, this is about a little boy with IBS. He's toilet bound. Wow. So, great pull.
Thank you. Yeah, I was really happy to find this.
Oh my gosh. I think we had some really good stuff today.
These are really good books.
You know, we didn't even talk like, yes, we have your zombies. You have your vampires. You have your werewolves. You also have your toilet ghosts. Yeah. Moaning Myrtle, Hanako-san.
Wow. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Emily knows so little about Japanese culture. It's actually kind of crazy.
Oh my God. Okay. Wow. Good stuff. Some really good books.
Some really wonderful literature there.
Yeah.
Before we go, first of all, thank you. As I mentioned, we mentioned jokingly at the top of the show that we have gained a little bit of traction, which has been really fun for us, and we are actually very thankful and really enjoy doing this a lot. So it's fun for us.
Yeah, and if you want more of the content, we're on Patreon.
We're on Patreon, and we throw extra videos up there and have some really fun movie watch-alongs right now. And we're gonna start doing more of this style thing over there as well to get an extra one a week. And it also, all that money goes towards supporting our journal, which publishes small authors and photographers and gets their work out there. Emily, we used to do this. We got back to it, and then I forgot about it last week. But go out with reading something good, something that we like. And this week is your selection. Yes. It's Mary Oliver's Wild Geese. Would you like to give a little preamble to this?
This might be my favorite poem. The first time I heard it, it really resonated with me. And there are still parts of it that I really like. So
okay, sounds great. It is Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscape, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Beautiful. Yeah, it's lovely. Easy to read, tender, communal, positive, thoughtful, and very Mary Oliver. I feel like all of her poetry is eloquent but fairly straightforward.
One thing I really like about this poem, like what it kind of means to me, is especially like as a counselor, having my own journey, whatever, like you can get so wrapped up in things that make you hate yourself, And it's like, if you zoom out for 1 second, there's so much more going on in like the world, not like even the human world, but like the natural world as well. And it's like, you're just a part of this.
Yeah.
And like that opening section I find really powerful. Like, you don't have to be good. You are just
Yeah.
an animal like everything else on this planet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Giving yourself a break there, and also realizing that, like, man, we are such a product of our circumstances, right? And we are put a lot of pressure on ourselves within circumstances that most of the time we really cannot control. And I think that, like you said, it's easy to kind of get caught up in the micro and forget the macro, and realize sort of it's freeing to realize how limited your options are sometimes.
Yeah.
You know,
And, like,
and how small your role in anything is.
and sometimes it's easy when you find that mindset to kind of like go at it from a more despairing or like nihilistic standpoint.
Yeah,
But you can just as easily use that to give yourself some self-compassion.
for sure.
And I think that that is something that has to be learned. It doesn't always come naturally.
Yeah.
So to me, this poem says a lot about self-compassion.
Nice. Well, that's lovely. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Mary Oliver, thank you for sharing. And we will see you guys on next Saturday on the Patreon, if you're over on our Patreon, and then next Wednesday here.
Yeah,
So.
and keep an eye out for the next issue. When does it come out?
Over a month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, about
okay.
a month away.
You can cut that part.
Okay, no worries. Alrighty.
All right.
All right, bye.